Hello and welcome to Baseball Barbacast, the only baseball podcast in the world who thinks the Red Sox should just give up. I'm Jake Mintz. That's Jordan Shusterman. And I think sometimes in life it's important to know when to surrender.
Yeah. You know, why bother to say, hey, it's a long season, 162 games. It's not even June. Let's just go home, baby.
Could you do
Let's
that?
just wrap it up. I don't know. Is that an option?
If the Red Sox leadership group, for whatever reason,
I said, guys, this is not our year. I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't really want to do this.
Yeah. How would that functionally work?
You know, when you're doing something and you don't want to do it anymore and you stop doing it? Can't really do that if you're a baseball team.
No, there's a lot of people would have to agree to that at the same time. We do not think that is where this Red Sox season is going, as bad as it has been. That is going to be one of our topics on this Friday edition of Baseball Barbacast, which we are recording once again in my home in Ohio. Jake Mintz has not left yet. We are recording this on Thursday evening before he departs early on Friday morning. So whenever you're listening to this, we hope you are enjoying Jake and I in the same room for at least one more evening. We're going to talk about the Red Sox in the show. We're going to talk about a little bit more Yankees and Dodgers coming up. I know we talked about the Dodgers earlier this week. We saw them, of course, for 3 games, but they have their little World Series rematch coming up this weekend at Dodger Stadium. They also made an interesting trade we're going to talk about. And then, of course, we got the good, the bad, the ugly. Come on. IRL, good, bad, ugly. We're gonna have some fun.
I'm excited for this podcast.
So am I. But let's get sad. Our opener today is the Boston Red Sox.
This club entered the season with expectations at the big league level. It entered the season with pretty solid playoff odds, and maybe most importantly, it entered the season with 3 of the most exhilarating, promising prospects in the upper minor leagues. And yet, at this point, the Boston Red Sox can best be described as a mess. Things have gotten ugly. They were swept this week by the Milwaukee Brewers, who had yet to sweep anybody.
Yeah.
They are, what was the statistic? 5-16 in one-run games?
Yep. Yeah, that's not gonna cut it. Not going to cut it. They've been walked off, 6-15, so not that bad, but they have been walked off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Those have not all been one-run games, but it kind of gives you a sense of how unpleasant this season has been for Red Sox fans, because there has been a lot that has gone right, but more recently, a lot has gone wrong. And as they sit here now on this 5-game losing streak, in the news for all the wrong reasons, because people want to know when their top prospect, Roman Anthony, is going to arrive, while their other 2 top prospects are in the big leagues in very different situations. The Red Sox just have a lot of stuff going on. And before they head to Atlanta, although I imagine they've probably already arrived by the time we are talking about this, but this is a pretty critical point in the season for them. And what we're going to kind of talk about is how they got here and where they go from here. Because you mentioned those playoff odds, just looking at Fangraphs coming into the season, they were, we both picked them to win the division. And I think a lot of people kind of fell for the hype, fell for the roster, fell for those prospects, and thought, okay, listen, at this point, even though the Red Sox have been so frustratingly mid the last few years, they have enough good players now. We think they can do it. Enter the year with 56% playoff odds. Those are now down, according to Fangraphs, to 18,
and they
which is
would
below Toronto and below Tampa Bay.
Though that number 18 would be significantly lower if the Baltimore Orioles hadn't been experiencing an even darker catastrophe. Because it pushes the bottom up a little bit. Here's why I'm interested in the Red Sox today. It was Memorial Day on Monday, which is commonly thought of as a very convenient waypoint in the baseball season. It is more or less a third of the way through the year. It is the time when you really have to stop saying the word off to a slow start.
Right. Or it's early.
It's early.
It's April.
It's April.
Soon we can't even say it's May. You can't.
It's certainly not March.
No, those options are running out. We now have to start taking the standings and the stats and these rosters and depth charts. We have to start taking them a little bit more seriously.
Right. And when you look at the Red Sox and what they have been, you make an ugly face. But then when you think about these Red Sox and what they could be, the rest of the year.
That's
and you look
still,
at that's
still kind of there.
It's still kind of there, but the path to it
is confusing.
And I think that's why there's so much frustration and agita in the fan base right now. Because I think in a certain type of situation, you fire the manager.
Yes.
As the Orioles did, as the Pirates did, as the Rockies did, slightly situations, all of them. I would say the Orioles one is not dissimilar, where you have an underperforming team with big expectations and you make a change because you think the change of voice is necessary. Let me be clear.
Start there. Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah, we feel quite confident in this.
Is going nowhere, at least this season. If I had to rank baseball operations juice amongst MLB managers, he would be towards the top of that list.
Yeah.
He just signed a new contract. The organization believes in him. And frankly, I think he has done a good enough job keeping this thing from going completely off the rails because it is not his fault, in my opinion. The issue here has to do with roster construction.
Yeah. So I will say that just the last thing on Cora, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think he's in danger. Signs that extension last year, a 3-year extension that started this year. So very early progress. Now, in this business, maybe a little bit more common in other sports than others, but than baseball. But, if things get bad enough, they're not going to worry about the contract. That said, I agree with what you said about Cora. This year, because you have also some of the on-field markings of a bad manager, losing a bunch of close games, right? Having some issues with occasionally, whether it is a bullpen management. Now, again, I think Cora's awesome. Yeah, sure, right. Their defense sucks, or they're making a lot of errors, which is sometimes the same thing, sometimes not. There are bad defenses that don't make a lot of errors, and then there are defenses that have some high points, like Boston, that are making a ton of errors. Okay, is that whether he's not coaching them up good enough? I'm with you, though. I think Cora's safe. I don't think he's a problem. I think he's a good manager. Let's get to the roster.
Alex Bregman.
Yeah, he's hurt.
He's hurt. Going to be out for a while.
They haven't won since he got hurt.
Shows you what he means to a ball club.
But I mean, we can laugh and say that's cliche, but Alex Bregman's MVP case was both hurt and helped by him being hurt, because he was changing everything for them. He looked like, I don't know, 90, 95% of the best version of Alex Bregman that we saw, in 2018, 2019. And they were winning enough, right? They were at least in the mix. And then now it's all kind of gone in the wrong direction. But it has also complicated a roster that was already complicated.
Yeah. So MVP candidate, he hits the shelf. Marcelo Mayer comes up. He's playing third base. First base
that's a shortstop prospect who we was like, oh, is he going to play second? Now he's going to play third.
This is the thing, dude. This is the thing about the Red Sox. Like, when you talk about the problems, you kind of get lost in you feel like you're in a cave.
Yeah.
And you're like, if I go down that.
I can't go there. That would mean we have to do this.
Then I have to explain that.
Oh, we have to tell him he has to do this differently. Wait. And then you can't. And the fact that they have also had things unexpected, like these injuries, has put them in these other corners. And then you have the Rafael Devers part.
Okay. Devers, we've talked about this a lot, didn't want to play the infield. He wanted to play third base. They said, you're DHing.
You're not as good as Alex Bregman.
You're not as good as Alex Bregman. You go DH. He goes in DHs. Tristan Casas, the first baseman, gets hurt. Rafi, would you play first? I don't want to do that.
No.
I'm DHing.
You told me to put my glove in the trash.
Through it all, he has been raking. That's great. That's one thing. Casas gets hurt. He's done. Bregman now hurt. The two positions that Rafael Devers could presumably play are open.
Yeah.
And guess how many of them he's going to play?
None of them.
None of them. So the first base situation remains fluid. Christian Campbell, who is a rookie without a real position, he's been playing mostly second base. He's going to give it a go.
He is going to learn first base on the fly. In fact, I believe Campbell said when it was clear that he was starting to practice at first base, he said, this is the only position besides catcher I have not played in his career. We've seen him in center. We've seen him in the minors. We've seen him in college, bounce around the infield, play some short, play some left. First base is new, but he's willing to try it.
Going over there to the cold corner.
Great. Now, the problem there is that Christian Campbell has not been hitting for the last few months, but they still believe in him. Or last few weeks, I should say. Was hitting in April, not hitting in May. They still believe in him. Great. But now you're having this rookie learn first base in the middle of the season.
Meanwhile, at shortstop, Christian Campbell could play,
Or Marcelo Meyer could play.
Who's playing third. That is now Trevor Story.
Has been Trevor Story.
Has been. Speaking of has been.
Oh
Trevor
my
Story.
gosh. Oh boy. And this is, again, where you talk about what makes this roster inflexible. What is giving you reasons to be like, well, how do we solve this? How do we fit this guy into here? Trevor Story, having multiple years left on his contract while being one of the worst hitters in baseball,
not good,
is a very difficult problem to solve.
I will give the Red Sox a small bit of benefit of the doubt, which is that all their injuries have happened to infielders. And they have too many cooks in the outfield, where right field has been Wilyer Abreu, center field has been Ceddanne Rafaela, and left field has been Jarren Duran. Rob Refsnyder, who is way better than you think he is against left-handed pitching, mixes in and right. You could play Refsnyder every day right now, and it wouldn't be an embarrassment, I think. Like, he is pretty good, but that's just not even in the picture.
It's not something they need or
Yes. This now brings us to Roman Anthony, the number one prospect in all of baseball, who is kicking butt down in AAA. If you bring up Roman Anthony, the outfield is full.
And you don't have plate appearances to give him a DH.
Because Rafael Devers is there, because you wouldn't let him play third base because you signed Alex Bregman, who's now on the IL. First base, he doesn't want to play that after Costas got hurt because his pride, you communicated poorly, whatever. Besides the point. You could move Ceddanne Rafaela to second base.
Sure.
He's played there before.
It's an option.
However, moving the best defensive center fielder, top 3 in baseball.
Yeah, well, he's up there, one of them. Yep.
To the infield.
Someone who can't hit.
Not good hitter.
So it's like, okay, great. Even if Rafaela is a good defender at second, is that as important as having a good defender in center, regardless of how crappy of a hitter he is? No, probably not. But you'd probably rather have the center fielder. So now you're like, okay, where does Roman Anthony fit?
I could teach high school physics.
Yeah.
Would I be good at it? Is it the best use of my abilities?
I doubt it.
No.
I like Rafaela's chances to play second better than you to teach physics, but I understand what you're getting at.
Kind of insulting.
Duran played second in college. Can we move him to second base?
No.
Probably not.
Too many muscles now.
So the thing is these injuries and the way that they've constructed their roster are forcing the Red Sox to make decisions that they don't seem to want to make. But they have to, because their season is spiraling in a very concerning direction. And as we go back to Roman Anthony, this is really what makes their dynamic so interesting. And this is really where they are looking especially foolish as they try and solve this issue.
I'm going to hop in quickly. You know when you sleep poorly and you stub your toe, and you drop a glass of water, your whole world kind of speeds up.
Yeah. You're like, man, when it rains, it pours.
And then, you're starting to make bad decisions that you wouldn't normally make. And it just avalanches into a comedy of errors. Earlier, I watched you kind of shuffle up here in a bit of a frenzy. You slipped on the microphone.
Yeah.
You bonked into that table.
Right.
Once
that first mistake happened, it felt more likely.
Domino effect. Then you let, Rafael Devers DH.
Yeah. Told him to.
Here you are now.
Told him to DH.
Told him to DH.
So what's so interesting, again, as we bring it back to Anthony, is so there's the basic level question of he's a top prospect. He's in AAA. He's doing everything you can ask. Why isn't he in the big leagues?
He is very simply standard. One of the best. If you put him in the big leagues now, there's a strong argument he is one of the best 5 to 6 hitters on the Boston Red Sox. He is certainly not the worst hitter on the Boston Red Sox.
Now, we don't know that for sure because you don't never know for sure.
Sure.
So that's important. Important caveat for literally any prospect. You can't just copy paste their AAA stats. That said, okay, so then why isn't he up? Why isn't he there? Aside from the outfield logjam, which is clearly complicating things, and that is a big part of it. But let's say there is room for one of the best players on their team to be on the team. Why wouldn't he be up? Well, it seems that they are worried, as goofy as it sounds, that he could win Rookie of the Year.
Explain to me.
The way the rules now work with the prospect promotion incentive, which is that if teams put top prospects on their opening day roster and they win awards, the teams get draft picks. That's new in the CBA. That was a way to promote teams or to kind of incentivize teams to put their top prospects on the roster as soon as possible. Okay, so then why did they just do that with Roman Anthony? Well, they didn't feel like there was room for him. But now the reason that they are scared he could win Rookie of the Year is because service time is still relevant. And if a player wins Rookie of the Year, they get a full year of service, regardless of when they came up.
The player does.
The player does. And so what that would mean is that they would only have Roman Anthony for 5 more seasons instead of 6, which is like, okay, are we really talking about having Roman Anthony on the roster in 2020, 2030 as the most important thing for the Boston Red Sox right now?
Maybe, Fenway Park could be like a parking lot.
Yeah. So it feels silly, but it also seems like maybe part of it. But the reason why that's so backwards is it's like, if you're scared that he's going to win Rookie of the Year, that's because you think he's going to be awesome right away. If you think he's going to be awesome right away, why isn't he on your team? Because you need to win baseball games. Because you're the Boston Red Sox and you're supposed to be winning baseball games, and you're not doing that right now. So the roster and the depth chart makes it complicated. And I don't know how I would handle this, specifically that part. It is a very complicated puzzle. But as many people have pointed out, both in Boston, around Boston, people like Jeff Passan writing about it today, it is getting to the point where it's like you're not putting your best team on the field. What the best team on the field is complicated because of this messy roster, but it feels like it should include Roman Anthony.
We've not said the name Craig Breslow yet.
Yeah,
feels like we should.
His problem.
Can you say it too?
Craig Breslow. Craig Breslow.
So Craig Breslow went to Yale.
He was a certain level of accomplished in high school to attend one of the most prestigious universities in the United States.
I believe
selective too, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had an interest in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. Like
and he pitched pretty well, which also helps to get into Yale.
I don't think he was just circling C on that.
No,
SAT.
I know, but you know, would he get into Yale if he couldn't pitch? I don't know. But anyway, seems like a smart guy. Let's grant him that.
Is he a good chief baseball officer?
I mean, it's not an awesome track record so far, but also pretty early.
Pretty early.
Right? Because this isn't a manager that has been there for 7 years and hasn't won anything.
Sure.
Or a general manager that's been there for 7 years and hasn't won anything. How many of these moves have been Craig Breslow? How many of these moves? You could find some good ones. You could find some what's going on. You could find some
Who
moves.
else would they be? Like, in my mind, I think Breslow deserves a pretty decent amount of blame right now, because the roster construction issues, the lack of fluidity, the poor communication to Devers that locked him in at DH has resulted in large part in creating this situation that they're now in. The Devers one is the one that really still bothers me the most. The idea that locking Rafael Devers into DH for the next 10 years is an irrational decision. Who are the players that you should be willing to lock in at DH for that long of a time?
I can think of one.
Ohtani. I would lock Schwarber into my DH spot for 4 years. I would lock Ozuna in maybe for 2 or 3. Like, it's a small list because it allows you to do so much less.
Right. Yep.
And Devers is a good enough hitter where it's like he's still providing a ton of value as the DH.
Yeah, he's doing his part.
But when the rest of the roster is constructed as it was, now if Alex Bregman was healthy and raking, and Tristan Casas didn't get hurt and was better than he was playing, this wouldn't be as much of a problem. We haven't even mentioned the pitching, which is like a whole other bag of worms. I don't really even want to get into it right now. But that pitching staff has been underperforming, and the bullpen has been worse than the numbers are, and that's definitely contributed to the bad start. But for me, it is the offensive side. It is the lack of FU, the lack of just dominance from this group that seems capable of it. That is disappointing.
Yeah, with some pretty glaring weak spots like Story. But again, if you're reviewing Breslow, right? I mean, Crochet's done his part. Getting Crochet, being the team, unlike the Orioles, to go out and get a Crochet, credit for it, right? Trading for Carlos Narvaez from the Yankees. He's been one of the best rookies in baseball. That's at a position that has been a weak spot for you. Like, that's a win. Bregman, right? Of course, ownership's involved in a decision of that matter, but like that's a win, and Breslow deserves some amount of credit there. So there have been some positive steps along the way, and there are, as we open this back up and think where they go from here, there are still reasons to like this team. As I mentioned earlier this week, my confidence that they are going to be able to figure this out is certainly starting to waver. But the upside would still appear to be present. It's just such a complicated route back to competency. And now you are just in an actual hole to where the Yankees have already surged out to a lead that was big, even when the Red Sox were playing decently well. They're finally going to play each other for the first time in a week. So that'll be, what's the gap at that point? What do those games mean? It'll at least be an opportunity to kind of pick up some more momentum. But it's a tough spot right now, and the Red Sox just have so much going on that keeps us compelled.
We both picked them to win the division.
Yeah.
Would you pick them to win the division now?
No.
Would you pick them to make the playoffs now?
I'll say yes, just because I don't want to give up on them completely. And because the American League it's not like there's that many other hell yeah, they're absolutely making the playoffs. But division wise, I am concerned enough, and I think the playoff odds reflect that. I mean, their division odds have sunk from 25% to start the year down to less than 2%. So maybe they start to make up some ground here, but they have some tough decisions to make, and we don't even know how well some of those moves are going to go. They still have a bunch of awesome prospects, not just now in the big leagues, but in the minors. And how aggressive do they get at the deadline? That's another thing that we can kind of grade Breslow on, and we'll see, what that looks like. But this Red Sox team really has not. We joked about how boring they were last year when they were on Netflix.
They're so funny.
This year, my goodness, there's a lot to talk about.
They're so weird. I can't look away. Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we're actually going to preview the weekend. Before we look ahead to the weekend, we have a trade. May 29th.
Has trade season begun?
Is the stove on? Your enormous stove downstairs seems always to be on.
Yeah, that's true, because it's a commercial nonsense. Is the stove? Well, no. Again, hot stove. No. I know hot stove is an off-season term. We use it during the summer as well, even though that totally defeats the purpose of the heat element. But it's nice to get something. Trades are fun. This is a weird one. The Dodgers have acquired Alexis Diaz from the Cincinnati Reds. That is the brother of Edwin Diaz, who there was a time where it was like, these are the, trending up on the baseball brother hierarchy. They were soaring. I mean, they were going way up the list because you had Alexis Diaz emerging out of relative obscurity to the point where people were like, wait a minute, is that his brother? It's like, by the time you realize that, he was an all-star. And in 2023, when I was still, around the Reds a good bit, he makes the All-Star team. I wrote a whole feature on him. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. The stuff is a little bit okay. This is still talking about 2023 because there's a reason that he was traded today for a guy that was picked in the 13th round last year that is yet to pitch in full season ball. But at that point, what made Alexis Diaz so special was, and is kind of still intact, which is that his extension down the mound is better than literally every other pitcher, or at least his top two or three. What that means is how far down the mound are you releasing the ball? And what makes Diaz unique in that regard is that he's not that big, right? Guys like Tyler Glasnow, Logan Gilbert, they have a lead extension. Not every tall pitcher has a lead extension, but it's no surprise that those guys do. Diaz is like 6'1", 6'2", but just with his mechanics and the way he gets down the mound made all of his stuff just play up in a way that early in his career was very, very uncomfortable for hitters.
It just is simple math. The distance is shorter.
Yeah.
Right? When you would rather hit 98 from further back than 92 from closer, depending on the distance.
Yes.
That is just the simple way to explain it.
Yes.
Diaz is taking the 60 feet, 6 inches from the rubber to the plate, and he's shrinking that down in a way that few other pitchers do. What went wrong?
That said, the command was never good. He was liable to walk a bunch of dudes, but that wasn't necessarily uncommon. We've seen his brother do that, right? But the stuff was still playing. 2024, you start to kind of see that regression. He's still racking up saves, but the walks are even worse, and the strikeouts suddenly plummet, and the league starts to adjust. And because he's not actually throwing that hard anymore, and because his off-speed stuff just wasn't as crisp, he just starts to get hit around, and the organization slowly kind of loses faith on him as like a no doubt, like he's our closer of the future. And why you start already hearing last year rumors that he could be on the block, that they could still try to sell high.
Not what happened.
Unfortunately, he comes into the year this year, has some injuries, and then is just terrible. And to the point where they, not just, even when he was healthy, they just optioned him. They just sent him to AAA. They just said, you are not one of our best relievers, let alone, not only are you not the closer anymore, you're not on the team. Goes to AAA, and it just seems like the organization had completely lost faith in his ability to recapture what made him good.
And he maybe lost faith in the organization's ability
clearly
to help him.
It was just not a good situation anymore, to the point where sometimes you just have situations where it runs its course and it's time to move on. What's so amazing about this situation is like, how are the Dodgers the team to end up with him again? Now, listen, it's possible that his 2 years of success in the big leagues were the high point of his career, and he will never be able to find that again. And his stuff right now, which has been so bad, and the command is so bad that like they'll never be able to find it again. It is amazing to me that this pitcher, who still in theory has some elite traits, the extension part is still there. In theory, he's healthy now, is not something that if the Reds were so committed to getting rid of him, that they could do better than last year's 13th round pick, Mike Villani, who's like essentially just a relief prospect. Now, maybe the Reds seat becomes a relief, but it is amazing to me.
I'm connecting myself to Villani.
You're all in. Okay,
Villani Hive, stand up.
So there's nothing against him, but it is kind of remarkable that this would not be. Now, maybe he is that level of a distressed asset that nobody wants him. And they did call every team, and this was the best prospect they could get for him. Yeah. That's possible, okay? But it is amazing that it could fall, that his trade value could plummet to this degree that fast is pretty astonishing. Now, as for how it relates to the Dodgers, he's not going to be on the team right away. But it does go on with the trend that we talked about this week as we watched the Dodgers for 3 games, and you've watched the Dodgers a ton recently, which is that they don't have any healthy right-handed relievers. And so while we don't expect him to be a part of this series this weekend against the Yankees, it's not surprising that the Dodgers have been calling around asking for right-handed relievers with upside. And Alexis Diaz, as bad as it's been this year, qualifies as such.
Let's talk about this weekend. World Series rematch. If you enjoyed the World Series last year, which you're probably a Dodgers
a lot of
fan,
people did, I was going to say.
Or a Red Sox fan. Yeah. I will say, like, you know, East Coast, West Coast, big market bias. A lot of people watch the games.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of people watch.
World Series did
Some of the
well.
games were very entertaining, for sure.
Only 2 teams get to be in it.
Yeah.
And so it's like more people watch it than Diamondbacks.
Rangers. That's no
doubt about that.
No denying that.
Okay, these 2 teams are facing off this weekend in LA. All 3 of the games are nationally televised. Apple TV, Fox, and then ESPN on Sunday. Sunday Night Baseball. What a surprise. Dodgers, Yankees.
Wow. They didn't want Orioles, White Sox?
Nope. I think they thought about it and they said
coin flip.
They said
coin flip. Dodgers, Yankees won the coin flip.
So where are these teams now entering this weekend? We've talked a lot about the Dodgers, kind of the bizarre place that they're in, particularly on the pitching side. How Mookie Betts is just kind of fine right now as a hitter, good as a shortstop. But what are the Yankees up to? Where are the Yankees, the Juan Soto-less Yankees, as they face the demons that are the Los Angeles Dodgers World Series memories?
Yeah, so, you know, well, this series is in LA, so we're not going to see them return to the Bronx where they did win that World Series in Game 5, which, of course, I mean, listen, we're still going to be seeing those highlights just because these games are in Dodger Stadium. We'll get the Freddie Grand Slam 500 times. You know, we're still going to see the 5th inning. Don't you worry.
We should keep a count. Let's do that right now, okay? 3 national games this weekend.
Yeah.
All 3 are on different networks, so they are all going to reference it. Total.
I'm not watching every single pitch of this, but
I will go back. No, I'll go back and do it. Like I'll do it.
Total. So what are we counting?
Total times the Freddie Freeman walk-off grand slam is shown on the broadcast. I would like to say.
So what counts as being shown?
I'm defining this right now. We'll do from first pitch on.
Or they're going to show it before first pitch. I mean,
well, I know they are, but does that count?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So when does it start? Because during the pregame show, they can show it 1,000 times. From on MLB TV, like as far back as you can go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until half an hour first pitch.
Until the last out.
Yeah.
Okay. Showing it, in my mind, should be any angle of it. So like if they show Freddie hitting it and then they do immediately like a side angle slow-mo, that counts as 2.
I agree.
Okay.
All right. So how many times?
3 games.
So if Freeman bats, they probably, I mean, they're showing it especially since it's 3 networks, we're seeing it every first at bat. So that's 3, probably multiple times within that, since we're counting it twice.
Nestor is not there, who gave up the home run. So that's nice.
I am going to say the answer is
one of us should set the over under and the other should say over or under. So I'll let you set the number.
We're just talking about Freddie Grand Slam.
Freddie Freeman Grand Slam replays.
12.5.
I'll take the under on that. Thank you. What do you want to put on it?
We might get a lot of angles of it, so I feel pretty good about it.
Let us know.
How many times do we see Aaron Judge dropping the ball?
7.
Okay, 7.5. All right, interesting. Anyway, so we'll see a lot of the highlights, but what are we going to see this weekend? Who's pitching? What are these teams?
Yeah.
What version of these teams are we? Is it going to resemble anything that we saw last year?
Last year, it was pretty clear pretty quickly that the Yankees were playing worse baseball than the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's not the case right now. I think there's a very strong argument that the Yankees are better than the Dodgers. The run differential, at least right now, is almost 2x what the Dodgers are. I believe the Yankees are at plus 113 and the Dodgers are at plus 65. Ugh. This weekend will be Fried versus Gonsolin on Friday. Will Warren against Landon Knack. And then a delightful showdown of Cy Young favorite Yoshinobu Yamamoto and friend of the program, left-handed junk baller. Check your kitchen because the sink is gone. He's thrown it to Shohei Ohtani already. Ryan Yarbrough.
A former Dodger against a former future Yankee. How about that? Yeah, what a contrast, right? We got Yarb slinging it in there. 91.
Yarbs and Yosh.
Changing angles. Yamamoto, surgical fastball at 97. Beautiful curveball, 95. I mean, he's going to throw splitters that are harder than anything Yarbrough throws.
Yep.
Anyway, so those are some fun matchups. Of those pitchers, who else are you compelled by in terms of these starts? Will Warren, I'm interested in. He was not a character during the World Series last year.
Sure. Neither was Max Fried.
Yeah, that's also true.
I'll take Max Fried against Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's a good answer.
I expect the Yankees to win this series.
Yankees have won, I think, 10 of Fried's 11 starts. Fried has the lowest ERA in baseball. Yamamoto is second. I know they're not facing off against each other, but that's pretty cool.
Yarbrough is not third.
No. Fried, man. I mean, Fried is the real deal. I'm sure we'll also get a little bit of the Dodgers, they spent big on a lefty and he's nowhere to be found. This Max Fried guy, who got a lot more than Blake Snell, but not that much more. And he's been just fantastic. I will say I'm a little disappointed that this isn't an opportunity for our dear friend Carlos Rodon, who has also been awesome
and was not good
and was not great in the World Series. And he's been a huge part of stabilizing the Yankees rotation when Gerrit Cole goes down.
If you are readying for this series and you're like, oh, I can't believe I have to watch this again 3 nights in a row. Oh my God, Yankees Dodgers, please. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna reorganize.
Paul Goldschmidt's here this time. Is that not exciting? Come on.
This is my cell. It's a lot of different characters.
Yeah.
Trent Grisham, not involved.
He was there.
Trent Grisham, not involved. Ben Rice.
I don't know if he was
not involved.
Definitely not
Paul
involved.
Goldschmidt, not involved.
No.
See?
JC Escara, not involved.
Devin Williams, not involved. We'll have the Devin Williams he thought he was getting traded to the Dodgers.
Yes.
Ended up going to the Yankees.
We will definitely get that.
And Cody Bellinger, not involved.
Cody Bellinger against the Dodgers.
There's some stuff here, people.
I don't think we have to explain why Dodgers Yankees is compelling.
Okay.
The Dodgers, as we already talked about, they are in an interesting spot, and their pitching situation kind of develops by the second, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But this would be, I don't know. I think the Dodgers being at home feels like it'll be a nice little opportunity for them to remind people they're still pretty good. But I do agree the Yankees are playing much better. Basically across the board. They've been way more consistent. The run differential speaks for itself. They have a lot more of their just team clicking. Yes, they have some weak spots that you can still kind of make fun of, but they look very, very good, which is why we said before, they're going to win the AL East. So,
what else are you doing this weekend, Jordan?
Well, probably not watching a lot of White Sox Orioles, I'm going to be honest. And because I am in the process of buying a house, I probably will not be seeing the Angels in Cleveland. Sorry, Angels. Sorry to Scott Kingery and whoever's on the Angels now. That's not Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson DFA'd right before he could return to Cleveland. Besides Yankees. Sorry, Tom Hamilton. Besides Yankees, Dodgers. I'm going to be watching a lot of college baseball, to be honest. And we're not going to do a full preview on that as we kind of advance in this tournament. We will probably talk about it a little bit more, and I'll do a little softball preview later on. But yeah, I mean, squeeze play, like just softball, first weekend of D1 baseball regionals is so much fun. And college baseball, of course, means a lot to us. We don't get to cover it as officially as much as we used to, but it's still important to us. And we obviously always encourage people to check it out.
Yeah, just turn it on the TV. It's chaos. It's delightful.
It is. We love college baseball. Let's take a break. And when we return, we have an update on an email from Wednesday. And then we'll do the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll be right back on Baseball Barbecast.
And welcome back to Baseball.
Is that the bullpen phone?
What?
What's that sound?
We got a great email.
That's the sound you get when you get an email?
Yeah, when I get an email. That's what happens.
All right. So on Wednesday, we had a wonderful email from Grace, who emailed us at baseballbarbecast@gmail.com and asked us about bullpen phones and whether or not they are actual phones, and specifically whether they have phone numbers. Can you call, if you have the right digits, can you call a bullpen phone or the phone to call the bullpen phone? And we have some information related to that for Grace, and also courtesy of an emailer, Matt. But go ahead.
Matt says, Jacob Jordan, I was a tour guide at PNC Park for a few years. I can confirm that all you need to do is pick up the bullpen phone in the dugout, and it will just start ringing in the bullpen immediately. No number, no button, just a direct line.
So that means that the number buttons on there, keypad, is completely
for
meaningless.
Show.
Yeah,
totally for show.
I wash digits. Like I wash numpad.
Totally an appendix. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, yeah. Sorry, continue.
It's a vestige.
Yes.
Don't need them. So weird.
Well, I love this from Matt.
Let me read it.
Yes.
With a mostly empty ballpark, the phone was a great talking point as you or a kid on a field trip can pick it up in the dugout and hear it clearly ringing across the field. So that's amazing. You pick up the phone and it just starts ringing. You don't even have to touch nothing, man. But it still rings.
But I mean, that's good because, again, like some of these situations are pretty urgent. You don't want to be we were joking about that. You don't have to be futzing with the number and the extension.
If the Los Angeles Dodgers this year are on pace to win 100 games.
Yeah.
If they were the only team in baseball that had to dial the bullpen.
Oh, that's such a great example of
how many games would they win?
That's an awesome
99 and a half.
How much do you round down if they have to, or like how many numbers would you have to give them to have to press? That's a good question.
They have to have a courier
or like
with a written note.
You scale it. So like depending on where you are in the standings, you have more or less time to wait. Or like numbers to press to get to the bullpen.
Now, we were also wondering why there is a press phone in the dugout. For those of you who did not listen, there are 3 phones in the dugout. One says replay for replay. One says bullpen for bullpen. And one says press for us, the crooked media. And we asked we'll just define this person like this. Someone who is in a major league dugout.
This person has probably called the press phone at some point. They explained it very well, and we appreciate it.
The press phone is for a variety of different things. One of the examples is when the other team makes 2 changes at the same time on defense, and you need to know whether player A or player B is slotted into spot C or slot D in the lineup. Does that seem niche? I did too when this person texted Jordan and I the answer, but little things win ball games. There are also times where,
Well, yeah. I don't know if that's a matter of strategic, advantage as much as just the information needs to be correct.
Correct.
That's being inputted to the system that's telling you on your at-bat app who's playing where and where they are in the lineup.
Let's say there's something wrong on the big board, on the Jumbotron in regards to hey, we noticed that the radar gun is down 2 miles an hour on the big board. Let's go ahead and change that.
Yeah. There's just because, the people in the press box, that's like stadium ops also. Some of those things the dugout is paying attention to. And if they're not working, that can, impact what
hey,
they
there's someone shining a light in left field at the batter.
I guess
you remove them from the stadium. Right. Hey, we noticed that there is I'm out of examples. If you have more examples, please send it to us. We are curious.
But yes, there you go, Grace. And thank you to Matt for emailing us.
Also, Grace, if you could do me a favor and if you get the lefty hot in the pen, that'd be great.
It is time for the good, the bad, the ugly, something good, something bad, something ugly from the week that was.
It's been rainy in America.
Yeah.
And I'll go first with my good.
Oh,
it's been rainy in America.
Sure has been. Thankfully, not that much in Cleveland this week. We were
close.
We were worried that we were going to be at a baseball game right now as we recorded this, but no, it did not rain on Wednesday. So our schedule was not messed up, but the Braves and Phillies were not so lucky.
Yeah, Phillies, Braves got banged, which is just a great baseball term. That means when a game gets canceled. Wednesday was banged, and Zack Wheeler was supposed to start Wednesday, and then he was going to start the first game of the doubleheader on Thursday, and then he got moved to the night game. And people in Philly were like, oh my God. What happened? Rob Thompson, the skipper, was asked about it and during his pregame scrum. And he said, he came back to me and asked if it was too late to pitch at night. I said, you can do whatever you want. You're Zack Wheeler. Love it. That's great.
I also like that Zack Wheeler he was like, this is kind of annoying. He was like, is it too late? Am I good?
I hate to impose.
Like, sorry, I don't want to pitch at 1. Can I pitch at 6?
Can I pitch at
Can I pitch later, please?
Please. He just calls Rob Thompson. Please.
And they're like, yeah, but how did Christopher Sanchez feel? I know the Phillies won today, so it was fine.
How many pitchers in baseball could do this?
Although I will say, if Zack Wheeler gets blasted tonight, we're recording this before game 2 of this doubleheader. If Zack Wheeler gets blasted, feels unlikely because he's been amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of be like, well, probably should have started at 1.
Is this as simple as the older pitcher gets priority? Right. Or if Miles Michaelis wanted to start at night and let's say he gets traded to the Pirates, Paul Skeens has to pitch during the day? Is it skill level or is it age?
I mean, this is a pretty good example of, Wheeler's got both, right? Just turned.
Oh,
I think he turns 35 like tomorrow.
He's the perfect example. Okay, Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
Probably gets to pick, even if he's younger than a different pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it was great. Zack Wheeler also good, but this specific Zack Wheeler thing is especially good. My good this week is a 2-pronged softball update. The first is a bit of news from Major League Baseball, which is that MLB is partnering with the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, whose commissioner is Kim Ng, former GM of the Miami Marlins and former D3 softball player, which we love. Shouts out to the U Chicago Maroons. Pro softball is something that we've seen in forms over the last decade or so, but now to have MLB really pushing a lot of resources into growing this sport at the professional level. This is a league that is going to involve 4 teams from June 7th to the end of July that are traveling. It's kind of like a barnstorming situation where they're going to play in a bunch of different cities. And these are some of the best softball players ever who have competed at the collegiate level, who've competed at the Olympic level, that are going to be populating these teams. And with the help of MLB, with the promotion of MLB, these games are going to be much easier to watch. Some of these are going to be on ESPN. Some of these are going to be on MLB Network, on MLB.com. And they announced it on today, which is the first day of the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. And this is a sport that I care a lot about. It's a sport that I think basically anybody that just tunes in casually to watch is like, wow, this is great television. This is, and I know I just mentioned before, I can't wait to watch, college baseball regionals. I really stand by that softball is just a better television product. Not just are the games are faster or shorter, just every play is compelling because the field is so much smaller, because the circle is so close. The talent on not just that we're going to see in the professional level in this league, but at the college level that's another cool thing about the Women's College World Series is usually the best teams make it. And so you're watching the best players in the country at the highest level. And I just can't encourage people enough to tune into the Women's College World Series, to support this league. If you live near any of these cities that they're going to be in, I know they're going to be in a bunch around the country this year. I'm really excited to see how this goes because I do believe that, of course, we've had women's sports has grown a lot in the past few years. I know basketball has been a big part of that, but I really do believe that softball can be a big part of that too, because it is extremely entertaining and they are really talented. So turn on Women's College World Series. We already had some amazing moments today. Oklahoma, who has won the last 4 national championships, is trying to extend their dynasty with a very, very new roster. Ella Parker, who is the niece of Dodgers manager Dave Roberts. She hit a walk-off home run today against Carlin Pickens, who is the hardest throwing softball pitcher ever for Tennessee. So that was a pretty cool moment. So there's just a lot of awesome players to watch. The one other player I definitely want to mention before we move on is Nigeri Kennedy, who you may have seen this name because she transferred from Stanford to Texas Tech for an NIL package worth $1 million. So this is a junior softball player making $1 million. And that is an amazing thing, not just for her personally, but just to show the investment in the sport and how important she is. And Texas Tech, a program that had never accomplished anything, Kennedy essentially carries them to the Women's College World Series. Their new head coach, Jerry Glasgow, is awesome as well. So they haven't played yet. I guess they're playing tonight. So we'll see how they do. But that is an amazing story too. I encourage reading about Nigeri Kennedy and just learning about softball because they are really impressive athletes and it is very good television. That is my good. What is your bad, Jake Mintz?
My bad is a tweet.
Yeah, I didn't like this either.
This really grinded my gears. Really pissed me off. College regionals are this weekend. And as I'm sure all of you know, the Mississippi State Bulldogs are taking on the Northeastern Huskies. What if I told you Northeastern was the higher ranked team? You would not believe me, but that is the case. They are the 2 seed and Mississippi State is the 3 seed.
Yeah, they're playing part of what makes me really not like this.
I believe they're playing at the Florida State Regional, which is in Tallahassee. The Mississippi State field is the coolest field in college.
It's the best. It is like considered to be the top facility in college baseball, or at least on the short list of 3 to 4.
Dudy Noble Field. It is an amazing place. Northeastern, their home field.
They're in Brookline, Massachusetts.
In Brookline, Massachusetts. It's suburban Boston. They're in Boston.
Yeah.
Parsons Field at Friedman Diamond.
Okay.
It is also the soccer field. And that is not abnormal for many low-level college programs, which Northeastern is not. I mean, this is a good team. But the Dudy Noble Twitter account tweeted out a picture of the field and said, fun fact about our first opponent, Northeastern. This is where they play baseball. Cry laughing emoji. Now, this is disingenuous, this picture, because it is a picture of the field when set up for soccer.
Oh, yeah. Come on now.
There are other, like, there's an added fence line that exists when it's for baseball. This is a poor representation, in my opinion, of the field, and just a snooty thing to tweet. It's
especially when you, Mississippi State, who fired your coach in the middle of the season and finished, 11th in the SEC, you're just feeling like, oh, how can we feel a little more superior against the team that's won 27 games in a row entering the tournament, the Northeastern Huskies? And it's not that complicated. What does this make anyone that sees it want to do? Root for Northeastern and hope that Mississippi State gets embarrassed on the road.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, again, Mississippi State could win. They're fine. They're
all of you listening, we're Husky fans this weekend.
Oh my God, of course.
Northeastern Husky fans till I die. I hate this type of energy. Yep. It is just embarrassing. It makes me
especially when you're not hosting a regional. Mississippi State.
Also, our first opponent just makes it sound like you're guaranteed to win. Like you could go 0-2.
Here's what I want. I want Northeastern head coach Mike Glavin, by the way, brother of Tom Glavin. I want Northeastern's program to continue to ascend, and I want them to become so good that they host a regional.
It's funny you say that. Yeah. They could host a super regional in theory. If they win the regional, they move to the next round.
Yeah.
It is a best 2 out of 3. If they play a team that is a 3 or a 4 seed from the other side of the bracket, they could host.
Sure.
Now, will they host here? I don't know. There are certain eligibility requirements.
I just want them to host someday,
and
whether it's at that park, and they send Mississippi State there, and then they really have to feel it. That is great. I love it.
Don't make fun of people's fields online. It's just slow.
Weak sauce. My bad this week is pitching injuries. Ever heard of them?
I had one.
So,
I actually had one.
Relevant. Jake and I threw the ball around today in my backyard. And how you feeling? Not good. Not good.
Just
wait for tomorrow.
I
mean, because it's probably not good now, but when he wakes up tomorrow, oh boy.
Anyway. First time I threw in like probably 8 months, and like my shoulder, not my elbow, which is where I had surgery. I had surgery on my elbow. My shoulder is killing me right now.
Because that, like, when I play catch like once every few months, it's always my shoulder, and I've never had elbow pain. All right. But so elbow injuries are bad. I was thinking the most recent one, we got Ronel Blanco, Tommy John. That's a huge bummer because he's just been one of the best stories of just like pitchers to come out of nowhere to be awesome. AJ Smith-Shawver leaving the game today, said he maybe felt a pop. Don't love that. Jackson Job's velocity was down. I hope he's okay. But really what I want to just get at is do a little bit of a little just data dump. We did a little video earlier today where you pop quizzed me on all the Dodgers pitchers on the injured list. That number is 14. There are 14 pitchers on the injured list for the Dodgers. And it just got me thinking. I was like, okay, well, actually, is this extraordinary? Because there are so many pitchers on the injured list all over the place. And I have the numbers.
Great.
Evan Phillips, who was transferred from the 15-day to the 60-day today, made him the 11th Dodgers pitcher on the 60-day. Okay. They have.
Can you explain the difference quickly? It's the days.
Yeah, it's the number of days. Now, 60 days the reason that you have the 60 days because that means you do not have to occupy one of the 40-man roster spots.
Yep.
But it also means you have to be out for 60 days. It's oftentimes that's what ends up when you have Tommy John or you know you're going to be out for the year or out for a long time. And apparently the case of Evan Phillips, which is disappointing. Anyway, do you want to guess who is second on the injured list? Most pitchers on the injured list in the big leagues, at least.
I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles at 9.
And what the number is.
Orioles at 9.
No. Orioles only have 5.
Okay.
They're right middle of the pack. They've got 4 on the 60 and 1 on the 15-day. Again, this is just like as of Thursday afternoon. This is obviously changing every day.
I'll go Houston at 7.
Houston's 6. They got 3 on the 60, 3 on the 15.
Tell me the answer.
Ronel will probably move. The Mets, number 2, have 7 on the 60-day. Some of those are not super prominent, right? It's guys like Danny Young, Drew Smith.
Whoa.
I'm just
Danny Young, friend of the program.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, Danny Young.
Whoa.
If you're listening. But he's on the 60-day. So, 8. So again, that's second. It's 8. Dodgers are at 14. White Sox 7, Guardians 7, Royals 7, Padres 7, Blue Jays 7. And then the bottom is also compelling.
Who's feeling
There
good?
are only 3 teams. No one has 0 pitchers. I mean, that's impossible. But there are 3 teams that only have 1 pitcher currently on the injury list. Now, and I should also note that not all of these injuries are arm related, but whatever, most of them are. So I didn't like cross-reference that. But this is just pitchers on the injury list.
Are the Phillies at just Aaron Nola?
Correct. The Phillies have just 1, so they have nobody on the 60-day. So they could have 0 depending on when Nola gets back.
They had 0 for a while until Nola got hurt.
So, so Nola's 1. Yep. Or the Phillies are 1.
I'll go with the Giants.
Nicely done.
Okay.
Giants also, and I believe it's Verlander who just went on. So that's also nobody on the 60-day.
And I don't know the other one.
The St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
They
don't throw hard enough.
Right, exactly. They have 1 on the 60-day, and I don't remember who it is. I'm going to pull that up quickly.
Great.
But yeah, what do you? But I was just, it was validating. It was like, okay, yeah, the Dodgers are way ahead of everybody else.
14 guys on the IL.
Zach Thompson, lefty Zach Thompson on the 60-day. So other than that, yeah, Cardinals, Phillies, Giants, good for them, staying relatively healthy. What's Ugla?
My Ugla is the way a GM talked this week. I'm not going to go down this huge rabbit hole of Ken Rosenthal writing a piece at The Athletic about how the Nationals are disappointing.
Yeah, their rebuild is failing. Whatever. All these things. We could talk about that for a long time. Like, it is interesting, but let's focus on the real important stuff.
There were things in there I agreed with. many that I disagreed with.
Yep.
Mike Rizzo, Nats GM, wasn't going to take that sitting down. He claps back, gets on.
Which is interesting because the quote we're going to focus on, I don't even really know how much Ken even talked about Elijah Green, the prospect who is disappointed. Top 5 pick a few years back. But anyway, this quote from Mike Rizzo, as I guess part of his defense of his organization, is regarding outfield prospect Elijah Green.
This is on 106.7 The Fan.
I know it well.
It's about Elijah Green, who was drafted 5th overall, has big time tools, has struggled to hit. He was essentially removed from his affiliate in the minors and sent to the complex in Florida, the developmental list, to just rework his swing, rip it from the ground up, build it from nothing, because it has just been not a viable way to swing.
He's been striking out more than essentially every other hitter getting regular playing time.
I'm not going to read this whole quote, but I'm going to read parts of it because it is amazing. What we did, we took him out of Wilmington and brought him down to Florida. We're going to do some swing changes and approach changes. Our best hitting guys down there are our hitting coordinator, and some other guys that are really affluent on teaching hitting and knowing the kind of situation Elijah is in. Now, this is translated via friend of the program, Andrew Golden of the Washington Post. So we're going to start there. Some other guys that are really affluent on teaching hitting.
Yeah, I don't.
Some of the richest, off hitting coordinators in the game.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like, I don't know. Does wealth translate to a higher contact rate? Maybe. I'll try anything at this point.
Sure. I'll continue. I'm going to go back in the quote a little bit. Green, one of the best throwing arms we have in the system, and he's got some of the most prodigious power that we have in the system. We need to get the hit tool under wraps. We need more contact.
All right. We need to get the hit tool under wraps. So, no, don't tell anybody. So I assume he's meaning under control. Under control. But under wraps instead.
Under wraps
is a tough one. But this is not my favorite of the potentially misspeakings of Mike Rizzo.
When this light bulb goes on, again, he's 21 years old. He'd be a draft eligible junior right now. There's time with this guy. You have guys hit balls in the practice and you go out in competition, things speed up. You resort back to your old bad habits.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do with Greeny. He came down with a wonderful attitude.
Nice.
We're going to do everything we can to get this guy right, because when the light bulb goes off, he could be special. When the light bulb goes on,
he could be special.
When the light bulb goes off,
he could be special. What do we think? What makes more sense?
Sounds like he's going to be special.
I think.
What is the light bulb right now?
Actually, that's
the light
true.
bulb is off. It's off right now. Elijah Green, the hitter, is a off light bulb.
Yeah. So there's another one, right? The switch is the switch flipping. That's something you would hear.
The flitch swipping
is when it clicks would be another way you could phrase this.
When it all comes together.
When it all comes together.
When we get him under wraps.
I don't think we want this. I don't think we want the light bulb to be off any more than it is right now.
I would also argue.
I think we need the light bulb to be on.
We need the light bulb on. Elijah Green, one of the more affluent guys down there, considering.
Oh, the big bonus. That's
also,
true.
Speaking of affluentness.
Yeah.
Do you know where their spring training complex is?
Oh, yeah. It's in
West Palm Beach, Florida.
At what is it, like Cacti?
Yeah, but that's like one of the most affluent.
More than Wilmington.
That's for sure.
Where he was before. Anyway, let us know. Are we being too harsh on Mike Rizzo's use of the English language? Possibly. My ugly this week is a story from J.J. Cooper of Baseball America about the Miami Marlins. And I know you spent some time around the Miami Marlins recently. You were in Miami. And one of the great things about teams in rebuilds is that they can just try some weird stuff. And the Marlins are doing a lot of those things. Some of them seem to be working. Some of them are not. Some of them we don't know about. And some of them, like this, from J.J. Cooper, I really appreciate, and is something that if I was running a rebuild, this would be 1,000,000% something that I would be doing, which is steal a bajillion bases.
Amazing.
The Marlins minor league affiliates are averaging more than 2 stolen bases a game, where the rest of the league is like around, it's like they're at like 2.3 stolen bases per game. The rest of the league is at like 1.3. They are just running. And it is not just, okay, let's acquire fast guys. It's anyone can steal. Don't believe that like, oh, I'm slow, I can't steal bases. They're like, no. You're just going to go. And this is a great. I love this. This is exactly what you should do. Because when you're the Marlins, there's a good chance it's unlikely that you are going to end up with a team, even if all of these prospects hit and all of these draft picks become it's unlikely that you are going to have a lineup stacked with sluggers and on base machines. You got to find other ways to score, and just running all the time, very efficiently, mind you, too. They also have the highest success rate. Is awesome. That's what you should be doing. It is ugly, and I look forward to seeing if it translates to the major leagues at any point. But I commend them, and I recommend people checking out JJ's story.
I love that. That's great.
Keep running, Fish. I love
Fish
it.
Can't even run, dude.
Yeah, that's it. It's a little weird. We're done. This was a great podcast. I did enjoy this. We are going to go watch the Spelling Bee, one of our favorite events, something we take a great pride in consuming.
Do you have a favorite
on an annual basis?
Do you have a favorite word? Maybe not to spell, but just a favorite word.
Favorite word? I want to know Mike Rizzo's favorite word after the conversation that we just had. Let me think. I know what yours has been in the past. I don't know if it's still that.
No, it's changed.
It used to be vagabond.
Yeah.
But
when Jordan was
now?
my editor,
what is it now?
When we were in high school and we were blogging, Jordan was my editor. I would put vagabond
into everything he could.
Jake, you
got
to
take that out. Do you have an answer now?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you have a new one?
I love C sounds. I love cornucopia. I love cavalcade.
Cavalcade was that was one you used
I love
a lot.
cacophony.
All right, a lot of similar noises.
I like that sound.
Let us know, what's your favorite word?
Favorite word.
And how do you spell it?
Email us your favorite word at baseballbarbacast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Nothing in the body of the email. No. Subject line, your favorite word.
I don't want to have to read any words beyond.
I don't even want to open the email.
Right.
Just your favorite word.
Be able to see it and then move on.
Great.
Let us know. baseballbarbacast@gmail.com. This was fun. Thank you for recording this podcast with me in my house.
Thank you to Brett Rader.
We're shaking hands. Pleasure doing business with you, Jake. And thank you to producer Brett Rader for making this setup possible and for being on with us today. We really appreciate it.
He's so great.
We will be back next week with our normal weekend recap on Monday morning from our respective homes. But thank you all for listening. We will talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.